Right, well, welcome to our inaugural Islam and AI Research Group meeting. My name is Mohammady, and I'm the chair of the Muslim Researchers Network. And I'm here to give you a very brief intro into MRN and also what these research groups are all about. This is not only the inaugural Islam and AI Research Group, it's actually the inaugural research group across all fields. We've recently rebranded our research groups to allow sort of discussions at a higher level and encourage people to address some of the important questions facing Muslims today. And so this is really sort of the hopefully going to be the blueprint for other research groups that we're going to try and do in the future. So let me tell you a little bit about MRN, what we do, who we are, and really what we're doing is three things. Firstly, we're showcasing the research of Muslims. So some of you may have attended our conference, which happened earlier this year in Cambridge. We've been doing this for a few years now. And alhamdulillah, this has been a great opportunity to see the work of Muslims across many different fields at a very high quality and showcased at least once a year. We've recently done more of these smaller events as well. For example, last year in October, we had another AI event. This time it wasn't a research group, it was a conference focused on AI. And so that's one thing we're trying to do. Another thing we're trying to do is connecting Muslim researchers. Today is an example of that. We're bringing Muslims across the entire spectrum of AI to talk together and to come up with new ideas. As part of that, we also have a mentorship scheme. Now, this mentorship scheme has been going on for a few years now, but recently we've expanded it to include mentorship of Palestinian students. And alhamdulillah, we've reached out to close to 100 Palestinian students who are now being mentored by academics in the UK and beyond. But our standard mentorship scheme is also aimed at UK students. And there we've also reached many students across many fields, alhamdulillah. And finally, we also study Muslims in academia. We're trying to understand what it is that Muslims are struggling with in academia and why it is that they're struggling with these things. And I'm just going to put up one slide from our own research to highlight what the problem really is. And that is what you can see here is the percentage of Muslims in various different fields at undergraduate, postgraduate research and postgraduate or master's levels. And you can see a very clear pattern here. Green dots are usually lower in value than the red dots. That is, Muslims, there's less and less Muslims as you go up, even the very first few rungs of the academic ladder. We envisage that this is a problem, even more of a problem going further, going into sort of the assistant professor, associate professor levels, and so on. And so Dayan Khan here, who's our research officer, has meticulously researched this and also conducted a poll. Some of you might have participated in that poll in order to understand why it is that Muslims are underrepresented in academia. But this is really the problem. This is what we're here to try and solve as MRN. Okay, so I don't have time to go through the entire team, but you can check us out on our website. But we have various sides to us. We have an events team, we have a mentorship team, and we're always looking for people to sort of join us and help us with our activities. I think for some reason, I don't want to cover up Aisha here for no reason, but yeah. But what I want to do today is talk to you a little bit about what this research group aims to do. Why are we here and what's the point of this research group, what it is and what it isn't. And really the aim is to establish a community of Muslims who are actively engaging with the question of AI. So this is not another event. This is not another conference. This is not another sort of passive participation kind of thing. The idea is that you're here because you have some desire to understand AI and how it relates to various things to do with Islam and Muslims, and you would like to actively participate in the discussions. That doesn't mean that you have to be an expert in AI, doesn't mean that you have to be a sort of an AI researcher, quote unquote. As you will see later, there are many questions around AI that come from the ethical perspective, the philosophical perspective, scientific perspective, engineering perspective, that and of course the theological perspective that that you can sort of help with and can help think about. And the goal is to ultimately provide a comprehensive and scholarly view of the aims and challenges of AI research in light of Islamic thinking, Islamic ideals. And you can think of many different ways of addressing this problem. So you can think about Islam for AI, for example. So that is, how can Islamic theology inform questions about the philosophy and the ethics of artificial intelligence? But you can also think about AI for Islam. So how can AI be used to benefit Islamic pedagogy and jurisprudence, for example? You can also think about AI in terms of serving Muslims and Muslims in terms of thinking about how Muslims can lead the way in AI. So Muslims for AI is all about what can be done to empower Muslims to contribute to AI, whereas AI for Muslims is about what aspects of AI can we take on board in order to address challenges that are unique to Muslims. So hopefully you can see something in one of these four aims that somehow resonates with your expertise and your interests. And as you can see, you don't necessarily have to have trained your first neural network in order to contribute to one of these questions. And so what we're trying to do is build a community, and we want this to be a lasting and vibrant community that exchanges ideas and collaborates and maybe establishes some mentorship relationships as well. And so the emphasis here is on lasting. We would like this to continue. We'd like to have regular meetings. So today is our inaugural event. We've sort of, alhamdulillah, have a fantastic turnout. We'd like to have this turnout regularly. We'll sort of put out a poll. We'll put out a sort of a feedback form for you to tell us how often you'd like to have this event. But the idea is to have it regularly, once a month, maybe once every 2 months, something along those lines. Eventually, we'd like to have publications, both sort of academic publications, but also publications aimed at a sort of non-technical audience. We have a partnership, for example, with Yaqeen, and they're keen to have us contribute articles to them. And so we can post these articles to Yaqeen, so get a lot of publicity for your ideas. But ultimately, we want to identify some key questions on which we can put out publications. And so roughly the milestones we think are going to be something as follows. We think that the first 6 months, we're trying to sort of understand what the various questions are. And so we're going to, if we monthly, we're going to address different aspects of AI every meeting. The idea is to begin to build a picture in your minds about what particular aspect of AI you'd like to address, and maybe create some subgroups based around these particular aspects. And then in these subgroups, we'd like to then have these subgroups offline, so not necessarily in the meeting, but in the sort of gap between meetings, discuss these ideas and come up with initial drafts, initial ideas. And then finally, we'd like to help you put those out. And as MRN, we're dedicated to trying to help you draft these things, but also support you financially in terms of trying to submit these to journals. You'll hear later about our latest funding drive from Samih, inshallah. So, and this is going to carry on. We want this to be a long-term project that keeps growing. And you need to just sort of think of this as a research group, as something like a lab that you're all part of and you're all contributing to. Okay, so that's everything from me. I think we'll have the donations call now or after the talk. Okay, in that case, that's everything from me from now. I'm going to now hand over to Boumediene, who is going to tell us about some of his work and some of his ideas for the next hour, inshallah. And then after that, we're going to have a panel or prayer first, and then a panel discussion. So please welcome Boumediene.
Yeah, what it's like?
It's open, you just need to shift it.
Yeah. Okay.
You press view in the top corner, in the top left, and full screen mode.
How should I move this stuff?
If you hover over it, there's a
Yeah. Okay. اوكي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد المصطفى وامينك على وحي السماء عبدك ورسولك وحبيبك وصفيك وخليلك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك وبلغ رسالتك وامينك على وحي حجتك على خلقك واياتك الكبرى وصلى اللهم على اهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الابرار الاخيار الاطهار الاتقياء وعلى اصحابه المنتجبين وعلى جميع الانبياء والمرسلين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما اغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي الى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا مما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وتعليما اللهم نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين المقربين اللهم اجعل لساني عاما بذكرك وقلبي بخشيتك رب اجعل في قلبي نورا وبصرا وفهما وعلما رب اجعل لي نورا واجعلني نورا اللهم اسلبني عقلا يحجبني عنك وعن فهم آياتك فلم نبيك صلواتك عليه وهب لي من العقل الذي وهبت انبياءك ورسلك وخاصة الصديقين من خلقك انك على كل شيء قدير انت حسبنا ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة الا بالله العلي العظيم. Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. So this is the Boumediene Hamzi. So I'm happy to welcome you to this event. So my talk is going to be two parts. So first part is going to introduce this AI and Islam research group. So I'm going to address the main questions that we would like to address. And the second part will be a continuation of a talk I gave 2 months ago at the MRN conference of Cambridge. So I'm relatively new to this interface of Islam and AI. So it's mostly initiated by invitation by Emina Ilos to write a paper on that topic last year. So she put the idea in my mind. So I've been thinking about it since last year. And so, yeah, so I'd like first to thank her for putting that thought in my mind. And I would like also to thank everyone on this list who helped to either give me feedback about the slides or to fill the form. Gave a lot of suggestions. So some of them are here, and Thea and the other people. So yeah, so the outline of the talk will be as follows. So the part 1 will be about the research group, so the objectives and the main questions. And then the second part will be interface of AI, machine learning, and philosophy, and in general, and also in particular Islamic philosophy. So whenever we talk about the interface of Islam and AI, we need to define it, what it means exactly, especially philosophically speaking. So here we would like to talk about 2 problems: the problem of carrying AI and machine learning into philosophy, and the other one is the problem of carrying philosophy into machine learning. So when we have 2 fields that are separate, we need to bring them to each other. So why we have these 2 problems of carrying machine learning into philosophy and
speak a bit into the microphone.
Okay, sorry. Well, that's enough. Yeah, okay. So the other one, so the other problem would be carrying philosophy into machine learning. So yeah, so the question in AI machine learning philosophy is the evolution of worldviews. What is real? How do we know ourselves? What does it mean to be a human being, especially now that we live in the age of AI? And what does it mean to be a human being in an age of AI? And in particular, what does it mean to be a Muslim in an age of AI? Then I will talk about Heidegger's concept of inframing as a concept to understand modern technology, including AI and machine learning. So you see here, I'm distinguishing between AI and machine learning. I'll explain why it's the case. Then I'll talk about philosophy for AI, the problem of carrying machine learning into philosophy. So I'll talk about how from an Islamic philosophy perspective, that we have 2 worlds, the world of command, the world of creation, Adam al-Khalq and Adam al-Amr. So this will lead to 2 categories of intellect, which is the original and analogic, and the 2 categories of knowledge, which are intellectual and transmitted, and the 2 eyes of the heart, which are imagination and reason. So here I would like to say that AI is acting only on one aspect, of the intellect, and if we get exposed too much to AI, then we are enforcing one aspect of the intellect and weakening the other aspect of the intellect. And so it's important to work on balancing the two things. Otherwise, our Islamic worldview will get imbalanced. So it's very important to, in the same way that people are investing in machine learning, whether they are practicing people or researchers or users. So by enforcing one aspect, whether you realize it or not, you are enforcing one aspect of your intellect and strengthening one eye, but you are not, if you are not strengthening the other eye, then you will get automatically imbalanced. And the other part, which I think I will not have time to talk about, which is the problem of current philosophy in machine learning, I would like to illustrate why mathematics is important in that aspect. The reason as such is important, and talk a little bit about my own research interest in that thing, but I don't think I'll be able to talk about that. So, okay, let's talk about, I just want to summarize a little bit the take-home messages. So AI, so it's a broad scientific discipline with its roots in philosophy, mathematics, and computer science that aims to understand and develop systems that display properties of intelligence. And historically, there have been two kinds of AI. One is called symbolic AI, and the other one is cognitive AI. So symbolic AI has intelligence as its paradigm and aims at problem solving. So it is based on the premise that computers are systems for manipulating the mind's symbolic representation of the world and solving problems. So the other one is cognitive AI. Its paradigm is learning and is based on simulating neurons and studying how the brain discriminates patterns and how it responds appropriately. So learning happens when the connection between neurons, gets stronger. So here, we have two schools of AI. One is about axiomatizing the behavior of the brain and then design a physical system, versus axiomatizing the physical brain and then investigating the system analytically to determine its behavior. So see, one is focusing on the mind's representation of the world and see how problem solving happens in the mind independently of the physical brain. The other one is about you trying to do the modeling of the physical brain and then seeing what happens when we get the physical model. Okay, so machine learning, that is like now quite common, is a subdiscipline of cognitive AI, where computer programs, algorithms, learn associations of predictive power from examples in data. AI and machine learning are not like any other instrument, since they aim at mimicking human faculties like learning and intelligence. And the philosophical position adopted while developing these technologies is not philosophically neutral. So it is most likely atheistic or agnostic, but definitely not God-centered. And there is a subtle philosophical bias towards Western thought. And among the objectives is transhumanism and transforming human beings into products. And here, the main premise is that data define what is real. And the premise that data knows you more than yourself. And so at the very moment you have measurements, then it will be able, in principle, according to this premise, to tell you more about yourself than you do about yourself. And so dealing continuously with machine learning and AI models that are not philosophically neutral will impact the mind, which will change the aqidah, because our aqidah is heightened to how we do the world. So if you put one premise in your mind that data knows you about yourself, then your aqidah will change. And you see, eventually this will have an impact because God is not measured. So there is no data. So you cannot put sensors on God and tell, oh, he's here or not at this, like he waits still or what. So in a way, you are getting further away from God if you put that thought in your mind and let it grow. So this is why it's important to balance things out. And so and then once you change your aqidah and worldview, then the soul will get affected, because we are affected by the philosophical framework that we adopt in our minds. So in Islamic philosophy, the intellect, aql, is a living awareness of the way things actually are. It has two eyes, the analogical intellect and the original intellect. So one is called the aql qiyasi and the aql asli. So machine learning and AI models are feeding the analogical intellect with wrong information about the world. Just telling you that it's data, which is the most superficial way of describing the world, based on the premise that only what is measurable is real. So as I mentioned earlier, that it's important for practicing Muslims dealing with AI and machine learning to make a dhikr and working on having a pure heart that will experience reality as it is, and that will reflect the real and what it means to be in the world. Because we know from the Quran that Allah is the real, even though he's not measurable, you cannot quantify him. As in سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. So this is what we have in Surah Fussilat. And with this, we already know it as human beings because we have souls because of the maqam aflastu rabbikum. When Allah made us testify, am I not your Lord? And he also taught Adam all the names. So the fact that he taught Adam all the names means that we already know that Allah is real. And but since we are in dunya, we are in the world, so we are going to experience the world with our souls because we have souls. But the mind superimposes its limitations from the philosophical framework it is adopted. So this is why it's important to be careful about which kind of philosophical framework we are adopting in our minds, because this is going to be superimposed on the reality as we perceive it on using our soul, and makes reality appear in a way that is consistent with those limitations. So if you limit yourself and based on the premise that only data defines what is real, then you are going to be stuck in this mindset, and so this will lead to a conflict that will lead to a spiritual crisis. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this importance of the developing Islamic large language models. It's just one little things that we addressed in some online meeting with the Prince Hamzi last year, where he said that it's quite important to invest in that domain, and I think he was quite right, because now that we see that there is Islamophobic bias and racist bias in many of the large language models. And the other point is that it's important to bring the human factor back into the scene, because Allah appointed human beings as his khulafa, not transhumans and not robots. So if we delegate our mission on earth to other beings, then we are going to lose the reason we are on earth, and automatically we'll be white types. So the other part is about the essence of the mathematical, which is not determined by the numerical, but rather it's a feature of projectional being that makes entities learnable, i.e. regular and describable. So this is according to Heidegger. And so the mathematics of ML, AI, or for AI is a way of carrying philosophy into machine learning. I said I will not be able to talk about this, but I gave a talk just a few weeks ago about this interface I'm trying to push for, which is the interface of machine learning, dynamic systems, and algorithmic information theory. So you can go to that link and check my talk. So it's also like about 50 minutes. I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk about 2 hours. So part one, I'm going to talk about the Islam and AI research group. So what is this research group about, and what it is not about? So this is a research group whose aim is to be part of the active intellectual debate on AI by defining the right questions on the interface of Islam and AI, produce scholarly works, organize seminars and conferences. But the main question is how to be human and Muslim in an age of AI. And that's the main fundamental question that I think we have to deal with. So this group is not an anti-AI group. So AI is a reality. The goal is to define how to embrace progress while maintaining our God-centered mission on Earth, as defined by an Islamic worldview based on principles like truth, justice, and preserving the dignity of all human beings. So yeah, as Mohammady mentioned, so we have many directions, but the main direction we focus on are Islam for AI and AI for Muslims. Sorry, AI for Islam. So Islam for AI. So we try to actually, I'm going to put all the questions here, so that I thought are going to be useful. Some of them will address them in the panel this afternoon. So Islam for AI. So what contributions can Islamic worldview emphasizing truth, justice, and nobility of human beings make to the current debate on AI's role in society? Should we accept the premise that AI is superior to human intelligence and that data understands us better than we understand ourselves? Should we view human beings merely as data products to serve the agendas of large technology companies? What about transhumanism, like enhancing the capabilities of human beings? So what are the modifications of human beings that we require rethinking fiqh, kalam, and how to achieve ma'rifah? Because our real goal in this life is to have experiential knowledge of the divine, so to reactualize the knowledge that we have about God in the maqam of the. And so with transhumans, so they are probably going to have potential for ma'rifah, but then how, if they were interested in knowing God, what would be the methods for them that they were going to follow? And same thing for robots, whether they were interested in having a relationship with Allah, but at the end they are created by God, so they are in a way manifestation of the divine names. And so at some point, they probably have potential for knowledge, but then the question would be how to achieve that. Yes, especially that they don't have MBA, right? So what will happen to them somehow? Then the other question is what theoretical perspective within Islam address AI, exploring questions of free will, consciousness, and AI's successful integration in society. Should we delegate our free will to AI? How to control AI in order to not be controlled by it? And what are the consequences of allowing AI to think for us? Because there is tendency now to just use AI, especially GPT, for all the questions that we have. So therefore, so we are delegating our thinking to AI, and then in the longer run, so we are going to think less for ourselves, but to use the machines to think for us, and then it will be easy to be tricked because most of these technologies are biased. AI for Islam. So how can AI assist Islamic scholarship? How can it be used to combat Islamophobia? And it's like we are witnessing this nowadays, especially with what's happening in Palestine. So how can we use AI to our benefit? What are the ethical considerations of integrating AI into Islamic societies, particularly concerning privacy, autonomy, justice, and decision making? And a lot of these Islamic societies, AI is used against the citizens, but can it be used for the benefit of the citizens? What opportunities exist for utilizing AI in ways that benefit Islamic communities, whether they are in Muslim countries or in the West, such as in education, healthcare, and environmental stewardship, adherence to Islamic ethical principles? How can we develop guidelines for the ethical development and deployment of AI technologies in accordance with the Islamic teachings? And yeah, so there are a lot of other questions, which is now that ChatGPT is a reality, and probably transhumans are going to be a reality soon, or maybe they are already here, we don't even know it. How does the existence of entities like ChatGPT or transhumans challenge the traditional Islamic metaphysical categories? Binaries in Islam, considering the various binaries through which Muslims relate to God, like living, dying, sustainer, sustained, how might the introduction of digital beings like ChatGPT or transhumans necessitate a evaluation of these relationships? Since AI is a speaking rational non-animal, so it's going to be challenging the definition in Islamic philosophy of humans as a speaking rational animal. So in that case, how should Islamic theology and philosophy respond to this challenge? Should we redefine what a human being is from an Islamic philosophical perspective? What does the future hold for Islamic theology in an age increasingly influenced by AI and digital entities that are going to be virtual beings or real? How can Islamic scholars and theologians can engage with this new reality constructively? So this notion of kalam jadid that a lot of theologians are talking about, I mean, are they going to take into account AI? How can Islamic ethical principles guide the development and implementation of AI to promote justice, truth, and human dignity? Are there specific Quranic verses or hadith that offer guidance on ethical AI? How should you approach the concepts of AI's potential consciousness and free will? Yeah, so what do we mean here by consciousness? And then if it has it, then what will happen for them as beings and on earth versus us? How does Islamic theology view the soul? So here we view the soul as in the Quran, so it's something from the Alam al-Amr. So these entities, especially if we are dealing with transhumans, they will have a soul because they are going to be enhanced human beings, but they are going to be hybrid in a way. So how are we going to deal with this kind of new category and understanding AI's role in society in general? Another list of questions. How do Islamic teachings confront the challenges and opportunities presented by transhumanism and technology for human enhancement? Should we develop new fiqh for them, as I mentioned before? What are the opportunities and challenges for AI in enhancing Islamic scholarship, education, and healthcare? How can AI technologies be developed and deployed in ways that respect Islamic ethical principles? How can AI be employed to effectively combat Islamophobia and promote a more nuanced understanding of Islam? What are the ethical considerations and potential risks involved? What AI's capability for extensive data analysis? What are the Islamic ethical concerns regarding privacy and autonomy? Same thing for education. What are the steps to establish comprehensive guidelines for the ethical development and use for AI aligned with Islamic values? Same reevaluate kalam. and how can Islamic societies be ready for this kind of problems. Then these are feedback from all of you based on the forum. So yeah, some suggestions like use Islamic knowledge to uncover complex patterns in the Quran. Somehow, or most of the patterns that have been discovered so far were by human beings, but can we use AI to uncover complex patterns in the Quran and translate technical Arabic text using NLP? Explore AI in Islamic finance, bioethics, humanitarian aid, and governance, and innovate in Arabic language processing and application in Islamic art and architecture. So yeah, we use like GPT to generate the image that we got for our group to have this experience. How to develop Islamic ethical AI adhering to justice and fairness principles. Establish guidelines for ethical AI use in interpreting Islamic text. Yeah, can we think about tafsir of the Quran based on AI and address AI's impact on privacy and human rights in Islamic context? How to develop AI-driven tools for the analysis, interpretation, and translation of Islamic text. How to create personalized learning experiences and intelligent tutoring systems for education. How to develop AI systems reflecting Islamic cultural nuances and linguistic diversity and use AI to analyze Quranic patterns. How to initiate projects aimed at improving Muslim communities, whether in Islamic countries or Muslim countries or in the West, and engage with communities for culturally sensitive AI solutions, establishing fairness and justice. Then we have the suggestion of the 4 categories that AI for Islam and Muslims, and Islam and Muslims for AI. Also, another suggestion is to analyze differences between AI-generated results and the human cognition, questioning AI consciousness within Islamic worldview. Engage with Muslim communities to develop relevant AI solutions. Work on projects in collaboration with others, leveraging diverse expertise. Foster AI research interest within Muslim communities and develop educational resources. Funding, we see how to get funding to be able to fund research and papers. It's another thing. And then also establishing forums and platforms for discussion and collaboration. So as I said, so we aim at organizing some Islamic AI conference at some point. There's this website still under construction. For updates about the research groups, you can fill the form. So basically using the same form that you used to join the event as the mailing list for the research group. So if you don't want to be part of it, just let me know. We are perhaps going to have an in-person or online reading group, as well as online seminars that will be organized in the near future. So we have a YouTube channel and Discord channel that we'll probably be using to discuss particular papers or books. And then if you have comments, feel free to reach out. Okay, so that's